This is Download This Show, your guide to the week in technology, the internet and culture. My name is Mark Fennell and we are in the studio with the news editor for CNet Australia, Claire Reilly.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
And technology journalist extraordinaire, Stilgherrian. Welcome back.
G'day, Mark.
And today we decided to ask the question, what should different phone manufacturers steal from each other? Which features, which parts of their hardware should they actually be borrowing from each other, which would make life a lot better for you and I as mobile phone users? So if you happen to be watching this on YouTube, just pop a comment below. What would you like Android phones to steal from iPhones? And what would you like iPhones to steal from Android phones? Let us know in the comment section below. All right, let's break this down to a couple of different areas. I want to start with you guys with hardware.
The thing for me that I'd really love to see, and there's been talk about it for a while, but NFC is something that's so simple and it's just a clean, easy way to connect devices. If you have a device, it's got a little sort of chip in the back, and you can put those kind of partner chips in other things. So you could have it in the side of a speaker, you could have it in, I guess, the side of your TV or in your TV remote. You can also do really cool things like have little tags. So people talk about kind of life hacking their own NFC, and you know, when you get home you could have an NFC tab just above your front door. You tap it and when you get home it turns off your Bluetooth, but it might turn on your Wi-Fi. It'd, you know, start the stereo up. In the future it could turn on the lights, get your oven going, cooked in. That's not all going to happen obviously, but it's a really cool feature and I think they're missing a trick a little bit.
I don't know. Look, people have had a go at Apple over many years now for not implementing this technology or that technology, except Apple always wins at this. But NFC, it kind of is nice, but there must be some fundamental reason why Apple has not implemented it. Possibly it's patent related.
I would also suggest that one of the biggest issues with NFC, and this has come up in conversations with Visa, is actually getting banks on board because where NFC is most useful is basically in that pay wave sense where you can just tap your phone at a cafe and pay for something, which is kind of the ideal of what we're looking for. And the technology exists, but banks have been the issue in the past, is what I've heard.
Well, I've also had the general manager of online banking of one of the big four banks in Australia say we would basically have this up next month if Google would give us all of the details of the security implementations within the NFC protocol in the Android phones. So maybe there's a stalemate there. I'm speculating now. But, you know, there is got to be some bigger story behind the story.
I think that there's just so many parts. You know, you talk about banks, you talk about hardware manufacturers, you talk about app developers. There are so many different little cogs in the machine and they've all got to be talking to each other, but they don't necessarily want to be sharing IP and sharing thoughts and information. So.
And when you bring Apple into that equation, they very much want to be in control of their partnerships with everyone they link their technology to. Remember when the iPhone first came out, Apple simply dictated to the telcos the terms under which they would make the phones available. And the telcos said, well, no, this is how we normally organise our contracts with handset providers. And Apple just said, no. Look, can I talk about removable batteries, please?
Oh, yes.
That's what we need. You know, I am sick of getting to 2:30 in the afternoon and having to hunt a power outlet. Having a spare freshly charged battery in your pocket is, you know, no big deal. And I think that's something Apple has forgotten. Not everyone who uses this technology lives in an urban environment.
Is there something about the hardware that Apple offer that you'd like to see implemented in Android phones?
It's sexy. Like
very scientific.
Yeah, you know, you look when you look at an iPhone, when you look at an iPad, the build is just immaculate, and there are so many different Android devices, and look, so many of them are really cool. But when you get that simplicity and that elegance of design, you know, the story that Steve Jobs held everyone back because the little headphone jack didn't make a click when it went into the port. You know, those small details, the touch and feel of the devices. That's what I think is really great about Apple.
Some consistency I'd like across the board. I mean, the idea is they're all meant to be Android devices, but you move from one manufacturer's Droid to another, and there's always constant little variations because they want to do it their own way, which is the kind of hackerish thing to do. Every hacker wants to do it their way. But there is, even between the classic one I like, between Samsung and LG Android phones, the back button and the menu button are on opposite sides of the phone.
Why?
Yeah.
I think it comes down to one of the key points across the Apple-Android divide is the idea between clean and customizable. So Apple is clean when that comes to the app interface, the look and feel, the hardware design. Android, it wins out because it's just so customizable. You can get so many apps that are, doing different things. I mean, you can do that in the App Store and Apple as well. But I think it's just so many elements of the design and build are so customizable, which can be a good thing or it can be a bad thing on the flip side.
Yeah.
All right, so that's hardware, but of course, then there's the actual front face of the thing, which is the operating system in terms of how easy they are to use, how customizable they are. What would you like to see Android take from Apple in that world, Claire?
Look, clean design and simplicity. You look at the Apple OS, the iOS, and it's simple, it's elegant. The menu structure is just really easy to get around, I'm very savvy with a phone. Humble brag. No, but I would say I'm a savvy Android user, but there are times when I'm looking for a file that's on my phone and you're just buried, within this completely labyrinthine menu system. You go into Apple, it's clean, it's simple. On the flip side, that means you can't necessarily find things and search for stuff, but, it's cleaner.
The cleanliness of Apple's design, we can't keep repeating that enough, I don't think, although I'll stop repeating it now. Going the other way, though, you do have to do things in an iOS device Apple's way, that if you do want to put stuff on it, it has to be within their mindset that if you want to put a sound file on there, it's got to be in iTunes. If you want to put, a PDF document you've got to read, it's got to be in iBooks or got to be in your Kindle app on your
I just love that I can
phone.
use a phone as an Android phone as an external hard drive almost. I can just drag and drop stuff over and it can carry stuff around with me and I don't have to have an app to read, to read things.
This does go, I think, to the heart of what is different about the two philosophies. The iPhone is probably the device, or the iPad, that Steve Jobs wanted to build from the very beginning in the early 1980s, the appliance that was yours, you had with you, and it just worked. But to get it to just work, you've got to lock down all these possibilities. So Android gives you all of this openness and the ability to customise, but that means you get into all sorts of problems. No one's device is exactly like anyone else's, and therefore you can't get the kind of reliability into it. I've got one that I want to put in both operating systems, actually, and that is granular control of privacy for different apps. Someone says, here's this great new app to do this thing, and it says, I want to be able to write to your memory and use the camera and use the microphone and use your fine-grained location, and I have to have all of those things or I won't install the app at all. What I'd really like to see is being able to choose that, to say, sure, you can have the camera because I'm happy to post pictures of where I am, but I don't want the fine-grained location. Just to the nearest, kilometre or something. And no, you can't have the microphone or something. That's something that's got to be deep in the heart of the Android operating system and something that developers would have to work with, so that if you turned off some of the features, the app would degrade gracefully, as it's called, rather than just, no, I'm not going to work now. Go away. I want your whole life.
It turns people away. It really does. Because if you see this, it's like, I've got a cool photo app that I want to download. Oh, hold on. Why do you need to access my contacts, record my voice, know where I am?
Tweet on my behalf.
Write and erase my... it's people start to get suspicious, and that's what makes the Android proposition difficult to switch over to from Apple. Because I think there's a lot of people that would be interested in an Android phone, but they've grown up on the Apple ecosystem, and they're sort of like, the jump becomes a leap too far.
Well, they should be suspicious because, an app says, I'd like to look at your contacts so that I can send
call
private...
your mum.
Yeah, call your mum, send private messages to your contacts. But Snapchat was caught, by the way, well, now that we're in your contacts, we'll just take a copy and upload it to our servers without telling you.
On Facebook, we have Lamont Baker who said, I think they've already made this golden genius phone and it's called the Nokia Lumia, which is a Windows phone. Now, I know you wanted to say this, saying that Windows Phone design-wise is streets ahead of what's going on with the 2 litres.
Absolutely. And the first time I started playing with Windows Phone 8 for real, I thought, gee, Apple looks really behind the pace now, because Apple shows me a grid of icons, and that is my only option for looking at the device is as a grid of icons. They're all dead. They just sit there. Whereas the Windows Phone interface can be this, glance at it, and there's everything that you need live and up to date right there at the time.
Provided the app in question exists, and that is still the area in which Windows lags.
Exactly, and that was my problem. There were, I actually used a Windows phone for a month or so. I said, right, that will be it. This is what I will use. It integrated with my MacBook Pro, okay. It integrated with all the other things. Microsoft have actually thought that through. But I just, go to say, I need this app. Oh, there isn't there. Oh, there's a kind of third-party equivalent. All right, do I want to give my, Dropbox, say, I can't remember whether Dropbox was one or not, but do I now want to give my Dropbox password to some anonymous teen programmer in location unknown? Sorry, who am I now doing business with here?
I don't know. I would hazard to guess that a large number of the things we use on a daily basis were programmed by teens. I would not have a go.
I shouldn't sort of knock teen programmers in and of themselves because of their age, but I would put money on the fact that very few of them have any kind of training or knowledge of how to do secure network programming.
And the first time I switched to Windows Phone, I was like, live tiles, it's really confronting and different. You go, hold on, calm down. It's easy. I can learn this device. It's designed to be simple and easy to use and integrated into your life. So I think whatever works for you, great, but there are some other great options out there. So, yeah.
All right, we are just starting a conversation that you at home get to finish. What are the functions you'd like to take from Android, put to iPhone back to them, or should they all just be regarded as Windows Phone? Let us know down in the comment section below here on RNTV or on YouTube. Very big thank you to you guys for joining us back in this panel discussion.
Pleasure.
Thanks for having us.
And you have been watching another slice of Download This Show. I think it's possible you just came up with the best possible tagline for Snapchat. Snapchat, bitch in peace.